Private Investigator Lew Archer wakes to the strange scene of someone trying to break into his home in order to hire him. The young stranger in question is Carl Hallman, and he slipped out of a nearby mental health and addiction recovery facility. He claims he is troubled, but not crazy, and that his brother had him committed in order to try and cut Carl out of inheriting his portion of their father's vast wealth, land, and orange grove business. Archer agrees to look into Carl's claims, but this disturbed man doesn't do himself any favors when he steals Archer's car, and instead of returning to the facility, tries to return home, initiating a manhunt headed by the crooked Sheriff Osterveld. Meeting Carl's wife, brother, sister-in-law, and their family physician, Archer quickly discovers that everyone is hiding something and playing their own game. The circumstances surrounding the deaths of Carl's parents get called into question, but new deaths start to take precedence. Caught in the investigation by his own curiosity and personal ties, Carl got help escaping from Tom Rika, a heroin addict who had once been close to Archer. The private investigator feels compelled to see the case through to the end. However, he begins to wonder if more hatred and punishment is really going to help recover what has been lost and save a family that seems doomed. Many of the Lew Archer novels delve into the complex psychology and internal motivations of the characters involved, and the Doomsters is a strong example of it, with both the Hallman family members and Lew Archer dealing with some introspection and on-the-fly analysis of secondary characters in the field of mental health. Carl and his now-deceased mother exhibit symptoms of bipolar disorder, which in the parlance of the 1950s is labeled as manic depression. Carl's wife Mildred also has strange affect, but there are a variety of social and potential personal causes rather than it being a disorder. Tom Rika is a heroin addict, among other problems, but he seems as much a victim as a criminal. Other characters like Zinni, Sheriff Osterveld, Dr. Grantland, and more besides them are selfish, morally compromised, or destructive for other reasons, so our judgments and those of Archer have a different quality than the ones he made about other characters. Even then, however, Archer still finds room for some sympathy. He can understand their choices and wickedness because it comes from a comprehensible human place. These judgments are related to the character shift that Archer undergoes in this novel. As he develops more understanding of this case and the people involved in it, he also develops a deeper sense of sympathy even for characters that can come across as quite terrible. In part, this growth comes from his own willingness to be honest with his introspection and understanding of his own shortcomings and failures. To make progress in this case and to also grow and improve as an individual, Archer must develop personal connections and come to an understanding of the many different sources that motivate people to make their choices. Entwined with this psychological aspect of the novel, which comes across as modern for a novel from the 1950s, is a much older, nearly mythological aspect. At one level, the Doomsters can read like a classical tragedy where we and Archer watch this powerful, troubled family be destroyed in part by their own choices and in part by events outside of their control like genetics, family, events in the state of California, economic changes, and cultural shifts. The way that Carl, his mother, or even Archer are sometimes haunted and tormented by their past failures or by their own psyches alludes to Orestes or Turnus, characters of classical literature pursued and beset by Furies from the underworld that they can never escape. Of course, it also brings to mind Disco Elysium, developed under the working title No Truce with the Furies, which is another tale of a troubled investigator dealing with his own fractured consciousness and a fractured world. As with most of the Lew Archer novels, Macdonald's descriptive powers are in top form. He really sells the 1950s Southern California setting, covering everything from extreme wealth to poverty, the new developing urban landscape to the older rural farmlands. He also maintains and in some ways refines the hard-boiled style pioneered by Dashiell Hammett and Raymond Chandler. There is a real pleasure in simply reading this book, which keeps a snappy pace and doesn't wear out its welcome, even with a more expansive conclusion than is found in many of the Lew Archer stories. For his own part, Macdonald seems to have regarded the Doomsters as one of his most satisfying achievements as an author, and I can certainly see why. I don't believe it's my favorite Lew Archer novel, but I do think it is a top-quality piece of literature that is certainly a worthy read for anyone interested in hard-boiled fiction. I'll also point out that the movie Chinatown was almost certainly influenced in parts by the Doomsters. There isn't a direct connection, but there are several elements that rhyme, so to speak. But what do you, the audience at home, think? Have you read the Doomsters or any of Ross Macdonald's other novels? Which is your favorite? Should Lew Archer be as well known as Philip Marlowe, Sam Spade, and Mike Hammer? Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my peculiar notions. If you appreciate this channel and want to support it, you know what to do. You can also take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel of another YouTube creator you enjoy, or the algorithm will have their videos committed to a sanitarium. Until next time, enjoy some good books. Live and be well.